What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be looking at the best guns as well as attachments to use in Blackout. I'm going to be going through all of them and ranking them from the high tier to the medium tier to the lower tier. So with this, just as an explanation for how I'm going to go about the tiers, with the higher tier or the higher priority, these are items that I'm always going to try to make room for on my class. I will actively search for these items, and I will always try to replace a medium or a lower tier item with one of these items, and it's the ones that I would ideally have if I had the choice. As for the medium tier, these are the things that are generally good to have. They're nice, they're just fine to use throughout a game, and I've got no problem with them, but they are things that I will usually replace with a higher tier item if I get the opportunity. And finally, this leaves us with the low tier items, and with these, they're either way too situational, so it only works in a very specific situation, or it only works if I'm going for like a cool clip to put on YouTube or something, or they're just completely terrible and I'd never want them in my inventory. I just leave them on the ground. Now, of course, keep in mind these are just my opinions based on my preference as well as my playstyle. Feel free to disagree, and if you do, just let me know why in the comment section down below. So first up, let's kick it off with the guns. In the high priority for the guns, I really like picking up the ABR-223. This gun is ridiculously good in Blackout, even though it's kind of average in multiplayer, or even maybe a little bit below average in multiplayer. It is a top tier weapon in Blackout because of its DPS, or its damage per second. It destroys armor very, very effectively. As for the assault rifles, I really like the Can 57 as well. I can't quite pinpoint exactly why I like this gun so much, but this is one of my favorite guns in Blackout. I will drop just about anything to pick this up. The Maddox is also a great choice for me. I really enjoy using the Maddox. I find the Maddox is really forgiving, and it's nice because if you happen to miss a few shots against somebody with level 3 armor, it's not going to hurt you as bad as it would if you had a low fire rate weapon. In addition to that, for the assault rifles, I really like the SWAT as well as the ICR. These two guns are very comparable. They're quite similar. They're very accurate. They're very versatile, and therefore they're definitely nice to have within my inventory. This brings us to sniper rifles, and generally speaking, I always try to pick a sniper rifle up if I get the opportunity within a game. And the higher priority sniper rifles that I will always pick up if I get that opportunity are going to be the Paladin as well as the Koshka. With these, I generally just feel I get the most amount of one-shot kills. And just in general, they feel the best, and therefore I always try and pick one of these up if I have the opportunity. Now within the high priority tier, I also have two of the SMGs, but keep in mind I don't always like to run an SMG with another one of my weapons, and I generally won't use an SMG as a primary weapon. It's more so just as a really good secondary weapon if I'm going to be pushing through buildings, or if I just happen to be closing the distance on somebody and trying to push up close. Within this high priority tier, I have the Spitfire as well as the SOG 9mm. Both of these have such a high fire rate and such a high DPS value, you can melt through armor really, really effectively. And generally speaking, when you get up close and personal, most other players will just have an assault rifle, and therefore with these SMGs, you can usually beat them quite easily. As for the medium tiers of weapons, like I said, these are the weapons that I'm generally totally fine picking up, and I can go a whole game using them no problem, but if I happen to find a higher priority weapon, I will often pick that up instead. For assault rifles, we've got the Rampart as well as the Vapor. Absolutely nothing wrong with these guns in Blackout. I really enjoy them. They're definitely solid choices, just not quite my favorites. For sniper rifles, the Outlaw and the STM, both of these are also really solid choices. I would prefer a Paladin or a Koshka, but that doesn't mean you can't get some great kills with the Outlaw as well as the STM for those longer range situations. So normally I will try and make room for those, and I will try and pick those up if possible. For SMGs, the MX9, the Cordite, as well as the GKS are also great options for secondaries if you haven't found a Spitfire or a SOG 9mm and you choose to use an SMG as your secondary. Based on my experience, these are definitely better for clearing out buildings than using most of the assault rifles, although I would give an exception to the Maddox. The Maddox is excellent in close quarter situations. Also within the medium tier, I wanted to put the MOG 12 shotgun. This gun is incredibly powerful against armor. I don't think a lot of people realize just how powerful this can be. You can literally kill a full health enemy with level 3 armor in 2 shots, as long as you're hitting a ton of the pellets within those 2 shots with the MOG 12. As a result, I've been carrying this as my secondary more and more often, and it's excellent for finishing off kills. If you hurt somebody and they get behind cover, it will often just take you that one shot to finish them off. Or like I said, if you run into somebody with full health and armor and you happen to be up close and personal, the MOG 12 will take them out in just 2 shots in most situations, and at most, it will generally just take 3 shots to kill somebody. As a result, it's really nice to have, but oftentimes I will swap it out for something that's just a little bit more versatile. Finally, within the medium tiers of weapons, I did want to put a few of the LMGs because generally speaking, the LMGs aren't really all that great in Blackout, but they're not terrible by any means, and there are a lot of situations where I will use an LMG just because I haven't found anything better. Within the medium tier, I put the Zweihander, the VKM 750, as well as the Hades. All of these will definitely get the job done. I just generally prefer picking up one of the assault rifles instead. So finally, this leaves us with the low tier weapons. These are the ones that I will generally try to avoid, and if I see them on the ground, I'm not going to be picking them up unless it's like right at the beginning of the game and I just need any gun in my hand so I can challenge people. Within this tier, we've got the Swordfish. I just don't like the Swordfish in Blackout. I feel like when I fire a burst at somebody at a mid to somewhat longer range, which is what I should be using an assault rifle in, I usually hit 1 or 2 bullets within a burst and then the other 2 just go up over their head or they completely miss. And therefore, I just feel like the Swordfish isn't a very good gun within Blackout. The Auger as well, I'm not a big fan of the Auger in Blackout since it got that nerf quite some time ago. It's just got too much recoil, too difficult to control, and it just doesn't work nearly as well as it used to. Also within the tactical rifles, we have the Essex. This is the one that you'll find within the zombies location. This is probably the worst gun in Blackout. I absolutely hate this gun, and I really don't see any redeeming qualities with it. With the LMGs, we've got one last LMG here. This is the Titan. For whatever reason, I really don't like the Titan in Blackout. I feel like it's just got too much recoil, too much idle sway. It just doesn't work out well for me. In a last resort situation, sure, I'll pick a Titan up, but generally speaking, I try to leave it on the ground. For shotguns, we just have one other shotgun aside from the MOG. This is the SG-12. This shotgun can be great in early game situations. It's actually one of my preferred weapons when I first land. But after that initial rush of kills and once you clear out the area, I'm usually going to be swapping that out for something else. And this just leaves us with the pistols. With all of the pistols in Blackout, they're generally not going to be too good in most situations, aside from when you initially land and have nothing else to pick up. And therefore, once again, just like with the SG-12, once the initial fights have gone down, I'm going to be doing anything in my power to get rid of those pistols. So that's pretty much it. You might have noticed that none of the assault rifles are in the low tier. Generally speaking, any assault rifle I can find on the ground, I'm going to be picking that up because they're just the best in Blackout. They're super, super versatile. You can use them in a wide variety of situations, and therefore you can't go wrong with any one of the assault rifles. So that's weapons out of the way. Now let's move into the attachments. And with the attachments, I only have a high and medium tier. I don't have a low tier because you can't go wrong carrying attachments. As long as you can put that attachment on your weapon, it doesn't hurt anything. And therefore, with the high tier, we've got extended barrel. This is the #1 attachment that I look for because it increases your muzzle velocity. And what that means is hitting people that are on the move, especially when they're at longer ranges, is going to be a lot more effective when you have extended barrel equipped. So that's the #1 attachment I look for. But also, I really like foregrip, which you guys might be surprised to know doesn't actually reduce your recoil in Blackout. What it does is it essentially eliminates your idle sway, and this is very important for hitting that first shot and getting that first shot accuracy, which is great if you're sneaking up behind somebody, they're at a little bit of a range, and you want to land that first shot on their head if they have armor, for instance. This foregrip attachment is excellent for that. Stock is the next one that I have in the high priority tier, and again, this one might surprise you because it doesn't behave like multiplayer. What stock does in Blackout is it actually reduces your recoils, so it's actually more like a foregrip in multiplayer, and therefore stock is a great attachment to be picking up. You definitely want to be making yourself more accurate. Extended mag is also really nice just because if you're dealing with multiple enemies or if you're dealing with someone with level 3 armor, you want to be able to get as many rounds downrange as possible without having to stop and reload. And then for optical attachments, my favorites are generally going to be Reflex, ELO, the 2X, as well as a sniper scope. Even if I don't have a sniper rifle in my inventory, I will almost always try to make room for it in my inventory so I can carry it around with me. That way, if I kill somebody that was carrying a sniper rifle but they didn't have a scope, I can pick that up. Or if I just find a sniper rifle, I can pick it up and I've got a sniper scope ready to go. As for the medium tier of attachments, these are generally the attachments that I won't really go out of my way for, but if they're there, absolutely, I'll throw them on my gun. This is going to be the suppressor, the grip, and the grip in this case is actually more like quick draw when it's just called the grip and not the foregrip. This will just allow you to aim down sight a little faster, which realistically speaking in Blackout doesn't have a huge effect on the outcome of your gunfights, unlike in multiplayer because the time to kill is going to be so much higher. Also in this category, we have the laser sight. Doesn't help in a ton of situations, but of course doesn't hurt to have on your gun. And finally, we have fast mags or hybrid mags. Generally speaking, I tend to lean more towards extended mags, but if all I have is a fast mag or a hybrid mag, then absolutely I'll throw that on my gun. This just leaves us with two other attachments, and these are optical attachments. This is the 3x and the 4x sight. These ones are really situational. Normally I won't put them on assault rifles, but sometimes I do want that little bit of extra zoom and that little bit of extra range, so therefore I will take a 3x or a 4x. And also I will be picking these optics up if I have a sniper rifle and I don't already have a sniper scope, because it's much better than an iron sight and it's much better than using something like a 2x. So there we have it. That covers all of the guns as well as attachments in Blackout, as well as where I would rank them within those 3 tiers. Of course, I'd like to know in the comment section below, what are your favorite weapons to use in Blackout as well as your least favorite, and same thing goes with attachments. Which attachments do you generally go for the most? Now I'm also considering doing this for equipment as well as an updated one of these for the perks, because I did do a perk version of this video way back in the beta, but some of my opinions have changed. So just let me know in the comment section below if you guys are interested in seeing those videos as well. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah.